Hey guys, and thank you for finding your way to Morgellons Discussion, the podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Murphy, and this show is about Morgellons facts. That is to say, what has been able to be demonstrated for scientific purposes. So, if you hear me saying something about Morgellons disease on this show, it's got to be coming from the scientific world. It has been published in a prestigious journal, and the science, the experiments that went into producing that data are repeatable. So if you're looking for factual information about the Morgellons disease condition, welcome to our show. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. You're not going to have to worry about a couple of bucks coming out of your account here and there every month. Even better, there are creation tools that allow you to create and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. After you've got your episode ready, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more. Bottom line, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Hi, and thank you for tuning in to Morgellons Discussion, the podcast on Anchor FM. I'm your host, Jeremy Murphy, and today I'm coming back from a little bit of a hiatus on the Anchor. To be completely honest, I am doing a lot more efforts on my voiceover business. I'm putting in auditions almost daily now. And something a lot of people may not realize is that for every 100 auditions I put out, I'm only going to get like 3 jobs back. And it's a lot of work. You guys have listened to my podcast, and you know that I do the editing. I try to make sure I don't have a lot of mouth noises. And that takes a lot of time and effort. So there's not really too much to say about Morgellons that hasn't already been said, except to reiterate that what has been said should be paid attention to. Hey, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my friend Crystal Clear. Thank you so much for giving me a call, leaving me a message, and liking my podcast. In particular, Crystal called me about the stigma, which I highly recommend, and I'm going to leave a link in the description below. It's got a great song at the end from a very talented up-and-coming artist, Zoe the White Lioness. But something huge did happen recently, and everybody should know about this. The Charles Holman Foundation recently released all of the past 3 years of their conference DVDs on YouTube. So now anybody that was complaining about having to pay to get the information about Morgellons that's been produced scientifically, that is no longer valid. You can go to YouTube and literally watch the last 3 years of Morgellons conferences for free. We've syndicated that content on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to leave a link in the description below to both channels. Okay, and I also wanted to answer one great big question, which is, are all Morgellons patients Lyme disease patients? And the short answer is yes, if you consider relapsing fever analogous to Lyme disease, because they are both Borrelia strains, and that's typically always what we find in the infections. We do know that those infections in particular alter the way that skin cells produce their proteins, either to overproduce collagen or produce keratin in places where keratin normally wouldn't form. And that's why Morgellons patients feel like they have ingrown fingernails. They have these hard, thickened slivers of keratin literally driving into the skin where there shouldn't be keratin growing, and that's an effect of the cells being infected with that spirochetal bacteria. Now, I think personally it's possible that syphilis is associated with Morgellons, but we didn't have a culture method until around 2018. And we don't have like syphilis clinics. People typically, when they get syphilis, they go to the health department and get it taken care of. It's not like Lyme disease where you can't get the penicillin and it knocks it out right away. And I think most people catch syphilis early because of the education. I think Lyme disease is more often found in the late stage because of the lack of awareness. But I do think it's really possible that syphilis can also cause Morgellons. But as it stands right now, scientifically, the information we have suggests that if you have Morgellons, then you do have a Borrelia infection. Most likely. I don't think there were any patients with Morgellons where either Lyme disease or relapsing fever was not observed. That's really all I got for you guys. If you're interested in my voiceover efforts, I highly encourage you to go to Mr. O Voiceovers. That's MROHH.com. Mr. O, MROHH.com. I got my demo tapes on there so you guys can check it out. I'm just putting it out there. If you guys need some voiceover efforts, I'm your guy. All right. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. And hey, check out this tune. See ya.
The sun.